Welcome to Behind the Badge with your special guest, Lieutenant Williams, your news source for all things police in the city of Fond du Lac.
Welcome into this Friday's edition of Behind the Badge on News Talk 1450 and 100.7 KFIZ. If you're watching us on the video, you'll see no Lieutenant Williams this time, as Officer Clapper is flying solo. If you're listening on the radio, well, you're about to hear Officer Clapper's voice. Good morning, Officer Clapper. How's it going today?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing tremendous. I guess the last, 3 weeks, it seems like you were tag teaming with Lieutenant Williams, and he's like, run free, little birdie.
Yeah, I was set free out of the cage, so hopefully I don't disappoint Lieutenant Williams with this radio show, but I've done it before, actually. Fun fact, you probably
it was before
don't
me.
know this. Yes. Yeah. It was with Spencer, actually. Probably about 3 years ago I did it by myself, so...
There we go. So
it wasn't my first time going on the radio by myself.
He's a professional, Officer Clapper. I guess let's just hop right into today's topic. I know there was kind of a scary scene over the weekend with that chase that happened. I know you wanted to give some details about that and then kind of how stuff like that can be prevented.
Sure. KFIZ did do a media release, and so did our police department, about a pursuit that we had in town early morning hours, late night, early morning, where an officer got in a pursuit with a vehicle, and ultimately the vehicle ended up coming to rest in someone's right by someone's residence, and one of the suspects fled into that person's residence. So I just wanted to take some time to talk some crime prevention in general. So when you're not home, or even when you are home, lock your doors. This situation, ultimately the resident of the home, it was a married couple, and the husband left and his wife was still in the house, garage door open, and I'm assuming the service door to the house was unlocked. Ultimately the suspect got into the house and was in the house with the wife.
Wow. Which
thankfully nothing happened between the two, and everybody had a safe resolution. But you don't know what people's intentions are, and this could have been prevented by simply just shutting the overhead door or locking the garage. And I saw this all the time when I worked night shift patrol. I'd be driving around at night in neighborhoods, and you'd see people leaving their garage doors open overnight.
That sounds crazy.
It is crazy, because I mean, if you think about it, what do people keep in their garage? Tools, vehicles, bikes, all sorts of different toys. So it's important to always shut your garage door, even if you're at home. I do it all the time, and my wife is always like, why do you always shut the garage door? I'm like, well, I don't want my stuff walking off, So it's important to always lock your doors, even if you're just running out, I'm going to run to the store quick and I'm going to leave my front door open. You never know what can happen in that short span. Like this gentleman, he just went and ran an errand in the morning, and next thing you know, the police are at his house, and his wife's inside with somebody that she doesn't know. So that's just something I wanted to touch on, but we've also had quite a few different thefts from vehicles and vehicle parts recently. This is particularly on the west side of town, but nothing really says that it's directed at a specific area. Okay. We've had a lot of vehicle entries recently, especially apartment buildings. I'm assuming mainly because a lot of apartment buildings don't have garages.
Right.
But just a good reminder to lock your doors on your car. A lot of this stuff happens, and it's the typical person going around car shopping where they just go around and pull your door handles, and if the vehicle's open and they start rummaging through your car. We see very rarely where people actually smash windows and grab something out of the car. So that's something important to locking your car, but then also simply just keep all of your valuables, stuff like that, electronics, out of plain view. Throw it in your trunk or in your glove box, lock it up. Don't keep firearms in your vehicles as well. We see that quite often, where someone will leave a gun in their car and someone will enter it, and then unfortunately their gun goes stolen. So,
and it's still in their name, so if a crime were to be committed with that gun, I mean, they're going to be the first suspect too.
Right. So that wouldn't look good. But I mean, the right thing to do if that does happen to you is to call the police right away, and hopefully you have a serial number for your firearm, which is another thing. It's important to keep serial numbers of your high-dollar, high-valued items, including firearms, because if something does happen and it does go missing, then you can enter this as stolen. We call it, it's called NCIC, which is a national database across the U.S. So let's just say Officer Clapper here in Fond du Lac has a theft of a firearm. I can take it to our dispatch center. They can enter what the firearm is, a description of it, and a serial number into NCIC. You can't do that without the serial number. And then let's just say that the person that stole it fled to Texas, and they're in Dallas, and an officer stops the vehicle, ends up searching the car for some reason and runs that serial number. They can track it back to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin.
Okay, cool.
So it's important, especially with high dollar items. It doesn't have to be a firearm. It could be TVs, gaming consoles, firearms, pretty much anything, bicycles. We kind of talked about that in our last show. So it's important to keep that stuff for the purpose of, hopefully you don't ever have to use it, but just in case you do.
That definitely makes sense, as we got Officer Clapper in this morning for Behind the Badge. Flying solo, Lieutenant Williams, I guess, has deserved a vacation, or he earned a vacation, or I think just all police officers get a vacation, right?
Yeah, he deserved one. He's a busy guy, and I'm a little jealous that he left me behind here in this nice 30-degree weather,
right.
But
100%.
While he's enjoying the nice 70s and 80s.
I know this is a topic that Lieutenant Williams and I have kind of hit on. I think it was probably before the winter, and immediately after we talked about the topic, we didn't see that many break-ins for a large period of time. So just us talking about it today, we're going to see a lot less car break-ins. So
hopefully. And another thing that we have noticed with thefts in vehicles is there's been a lot of catalytic converters that have been sawed off vehicles and stolen. So I'd like to take this time to remind people, if you are parking your vehicle outside, some people don't have access to garages, which I understand. It's just, obviously we prefer you to park in a garage because it's just safer. But if you don't have access to a garage or someplace where you can keep your vehicle indoors, I would recommend parking someplace where it's well lit. So if you're parking on the street that's under a street light, or if you have, let's just say you're parking in the driveway of your home or of your apartment building, try to park by a light. That'll help people that are deterred from light. They think they're going to be seen, and hopefully prevent this all entering vehicle entries, and then your catalytic converter thefts. But then also, like I said, if you can park it in someplace secure, that'll help deter that. So unfortunately, there's only so much you can do to help deter that kind of stuff, but we see that quite often, and it's usually in spurts. Every once in a while we'll see it at car dealerships and stuff like that, but recently it's been apartment complexes, again, alongside the Highway 41 corridor, or hotels where you can easily access 41 once you do this, so the suspects can flee, and then likely they probably scrap the catalytic converters for money at a different location. So
the catalytic converter, I'm not a car guy. What does that actually do on a vehicle?
I'm not a car guy either. I know it's connected to your exhaust, so once it's cut off your vehicle, you're going to know that there's something different about your car, because it's going to be a lot louder. So there's metals in these catalytic converters that are worth money, a pretty significant amount of money. So people will go around cutting them off. And
do you know how long it could take a criminal to cut one of these things off?
They can do it in minutes.
Okay.
Some of them are pretty quick. So it does happen quite often, and I'm sure over the last 20, 30, 40 years it's happened. But we continue to see an uprising in this. And I know a few years ago we had a statewide criminal team that were going around to bigger cities, the car dealerships, and ultimately doing it. But we actually caught them here in Fond du Lac.
Wow, good job, Officer Clapper.
It was not me. It was not me, but it's definitely out there, and we continue to have this. So it's just something that I wanted to bring up, so people can help themselves to not become a victim.
So yeah, if you have a garage, obviously that's the number one place you're going to want to park your vehicle. If you're not lucky enough to have one, just be in a well-lit area, or maybe even like a high traffic volume area, right? If multiple people are coming in and out of the same spot, that's going to deter someone from trying to steal.
Absolutely, because they're going to feel that they're going to be caught, or someone's going to see them. So it's very unlikely. I mean, it's not impossible, but it's very unlikely that they would, maybe think twice about doing this.
As we got Officer Clapper in this morning for Behind the Badge. A couple more things I know you wanted to hit on before I let you get out of here.
Yep. Just a little field training update. We have 2 officers in field training. I'm sure they were probably both in here. I know Officer Upaddle was.
Yep.
And we have Officer Barrett.
Yep.
Officer Barrett's getting close to being done with field training, and then Officer Upaddle's about halfway done. So they're cruising along. I feel like they just started yesterday, but they're cruising along, and we'll get those two out onto patrol.
I want to ask you a question real fast, okay? You
Yeah.
hire a new officer. How much harassing goes with those new officers? Like just a little fun, you know?
Yeah, there's I mean, we always joke around with one another in this profession. It's just something with the amount of stress that we deal with and the things we see. We always just kind of joke around with one another.
Okay.
So we got to start them off young and just kind of joke around with them so they know that, you know, we're not bullying them or making them feel bad. It's just we're joking around with one another. That's the way we kind of, it's like a family.
You guys spend long enough hours together, yeah.
Yep, it's like same with the fire department. We give them a hard time too, but it's just like one big happy family. You know, we'll razz each other a little bit, but it's
you guys all
it's
have
all
the
in good
same
fun.
end goal, yeah.
Yep, it's public safety and serving people is all the same end goals. So, but we do. They're expected to do like for an example. It's nothing bad, but at briefing every day, they're expected to come up with a fun fact for the day every shift that they're in briefing.
Okay. Huh.
So that it doesn't have to be specific to like Fond du Lac or the PD. It can be anything. So
does it have to be police related or just a fun fact about anything?
Fun fact about anything.
Ooh.
So
next Friday, you might have to tell me some of these fun facts or something.
the most, the one that resonates with me the most is King Gillette. I don't know if you know who that is. The guy who founded Gillette razors.
Okay, that would have been my guess.
Was actually either he was born in Fond du Lac or he resided in Fond du Lac.
Really?
Yes, that was a fun fact that someone brought up, and then they brought up that's why Gillette Street is named Gillette Street.
Huh. Now, does anyone fact check these?
Yes, we have had a couple where they were fact checked because there are some where like, I don't know about that, but typically, I mean, obviously we find these on the internet, so not everything you see is true on the internet. But that one was fact checked and it was legitimate. So
awesome. The more you know. Who knew we were going to be learning so much on Behind the Badge today?
Yeah, just a wealth of knowledge. The last thing I wanted to touch on, once again, I think this is the third or fourth week we've talked about this, but it's important. We got another shipment of our plush canines in. If you come to the police department during normal business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, you can pick up a plush canine, which is authentic to our two canine dogs, Lex and Brooks. They have a harness that has our police department's patch on it, and they also have a badge that is identical to our badges. The fee is $20. You get to pick if you want canine Lex or canine Brooks, and the $20 is made a donation towards the canine unit, which relies heavily on donations for training, upkeep for the dog and food and vehicles, stuff like that. So it's really important for us to sell those. We do have quite a few left in the second shipment. So we would like to thank our listeners that have gone out already and came to the PD. I know typically on Friday mornings, there's always a group of at least 5 to 10 that come in.
Love it.
So I think last week we had over 10 people come in. So keep buying them up, people. I like to refer to myself as a canine dealer where I buy a whole bunch and then end up trying to sell them to other people. So if you have, you know, friends that are law enforcement supporters or dog lovers or even kids, it would be a good little gift for them.
Now, does the winning dog get anything?
I don't know.
Anything along those lines?
That's
a little wager between the two dogs?
I don't know. That's a good question. I wonder if they do have a friendly wager between the two.
Awesome. We had Officer Clapper on this morning for Behind the Badge. Thanks for the time. Anything else?
Nope, that should be it.
Awesome. Maybe next week, maybe not next week. Or are we going to make it like 5 weeks in a row? You're going to be tagging along, or you're going to
I'll be here for a while. So
he's going to be here for a while.
I don't know if Lieutenant Williams will be here with me or not next week. He's back, but we'll see. We'll see.
Awesome. Behind the Badge next Friday. Make sure you tune in for it. You're listening to News Talk 1450 and 100.7 KFIZ.